Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are so glad you guys are here to join us on the Blitz, ladies and gentlemen, where
Blitz.
we hit a couple topics, really short, sweet, talk about them, and it might be a little something, might be football related, might be not, might be
Mhm.
something current, might be something all around the way. And to start this thing off, to get this icebreaker started, I'm gonna send this to my guy over here, Anthony. What's the first topic of the day?
Well, I was surfing through an article um, that I found on the internet, and it was just talking specifically about nicknames and how people go about getting their nicknames. Nothing specific about them, just nicknames. Now, nickname for those of you that are unfamiliar is something that uh, it can be a defining character about you, something that is your trademark, something that people know you for. Sometimes it can be one that you give to yourself because you think highly of yourself and you're able to show and prove what it is that you're able to do, and it sticks. So I thought it would be fun for us today to discuss some of the greatest nicknames in in the NFL throughout the history of the NFL. If gentlemen, if you don't mind, I'd like to go
Okay.
ahead and prime the pump and get this thing started.
Sure.
This first one falls in that category of somebody who gave themselves a nickname. Came into the league very highly touted, big time smack talker. Turned out to not only be a Super Bowl winner, but also a gold jacket. He got a gold jacket at the end of his career, several times after the end of his career, for his efforts. Big smack talker. When he came in the league, he had a Jerry curl and a rope
Mhm.
chain with a cell phone,
For
and
sure.
straight out of Florida State. Uh, and you all might know him as Dion. What was his middle
Hmm.
name again, Sean?
Prime time.
No, his middle name, his actual middle name, Lawan.
Lawan. They're like, like Lawan.
Dion Lawan
I got
Sanders, but you all know him as Prime Time, and that he's embodied that so much to the point that one of the reasons I think it's a great nickname is because not only did he speak it, he lived it on the field, he showed it on the field, and so much so to the point that many years post career, they now refer to him as Coach Prime.
Coach
So
Right.
Prime.
Coach Prime.
that's where I'm going. So Nick, I'm gonna throw this to you. What you got for me, man?
Well, I don't know. I was kind of partial to Neon Dion myself, but all right, I like Prime Time. I like Neon Dion. That was pretty good too. Well,
Yeah.
okay, again, I'm slightly biased, of course, because I'm a Chicago man. But how
Hmm.
could you not put up greatest nicknames ever? Walter Sweetness Payton, my friend.
Oh man,
Because
all day, every day.
that brother was sweet in everything he did. He could run the ball, pass the ball. He could block. Like I don't think a lot of people realize Walter would throw a block when he had to.
Oh yeah,
Like
for sure.
sweetness was definitely just as a kid growing up, watching. Because again, growing up in the '80s, there was a lot of big personalities in football. A lot of guys. You had your Lawrence Taylors. Your flashy quarterbacks, your Marinos, your Jim Kellys, but they didn't really have like nicknames. I mean, we had McMahon who was the punky QB. Because McMahon didn't care about anything. He just out there nuts and throwing. He did all kind of crazy stuff. But Walter was one of those guys who he just played football. He was a football player. I know his position was running back, but if you ever defined football player, that was Walter Payton. And to have the nickname
100%.
Sweetness, and just to that to me, I mean, again, I'm a little biased, but I think a lot of people would agree it's a really great nickname. My other favorite, of course, because again, as a chubby child, a little chunky when I was, younger, and he came into the league, right, rookie year, 1985, 300 plus pounds on the defensive line for the Chicago Bears. He had William the Refrigerator Perry, and he looked like a damn refrigerator. And he probably
That he
just as
did.
hard to move. He probably was just as hard to move as a refrigerator was that was full of food because that boy was like a tank. Nobody, his first 2 years, I'll give him this. He kind of got out of shape in terms of like really gained more weight after this first couple of years. But those first 2 years that William Perry was in Chicago, he was a force, my friends. He was definitely a force. So for me, those are two, for me, great NFL nicknames. You got Sweetness and the Refrigerator. That's all I got to say about that.
Yep.
Oh, I love that. I love that. First thing that hit in my mind was White Shoes.
All right,
Like
Sean.
Billy White.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
Billy
That was the
White
first
Shoes Johnson.
White
Billy
Shoes.
White
That,
Shoes.
that was the first
my
thing that came
man.
to my mind. Oh yeah, Billy White Shoes. He did the whole dancing. I love that. I love
Yeah,
that. But to be
yeah.
honest, the
The
biggest name that
funky
I remember.
chicken or whatever it was.
Yeah, yo, I loved him. I loved him. But the biggest name when it comes to whenever I think nickname, number one name that comes to my mind, late '80s, early '90s, Kansas City Chiefs running back Christian Okoye,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Nigerian Nightmare.
Nightmare. That's
Loved
right.
him.
Yes, sir.
Love that
Yeah.
guy all day long. One of the best backs in the league. He actually won the 1989 rushing title, beating out Barry Sanders by less than 100 yards, which is always
Uh,
crazy. But the guy
yeah.
literally didn't start playing football until like his junior year in college, and he went to like Azusa Pacific College, some random school. But
Yeah.
he was
But he was
so physically just huge, just built like I mean an ox, just huge, and the fact that he was able to play in the league and do everything, and he dominated. He was great until that one hit by Steve Atwater that kind of brought him back down to earth. But Nigerian Nightmare all day, man.
Yeah, that's a,
Okay.
that, I didn't.
Okay.
In the same vein, how about the bus? Jerome Bettis.
Hmm.
That
Yep.
guy was like a tank too, man. Trying to bring that guy down was, But yeah, I remember the Nigerian Nightmare, of course. I mean, who didn't remember Christian Okoye, right? That guy ran over people. Like, he just hurt
Hmm.
people when he ran by. You're just like, this guy. But like I said, I guess Atwater gave him that one good hit, and that kind of take you down a notch. But that's what happens. What can you do? Who didn't love? I mean, who didn't like? Well, I didn't like the quarterback, but those Denver Broncos, that defense, man, it was hard to argue with how good they were back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
Definitely hard to argue
Well,
with back then.
I well, we gotta. A lot of times the guys in the skill positions are the ones that get the nicknames. I mean,
Sure.
you have your Air McNairs
Right.
at quarterback. You have your playmakers and Michael Irving at wide receiver. You have your prime times in Dion. You got your running backs. Like I'm gonna bring one out for you right now, like your Cadillac Williams.
Hmm.
But
There you go.
but we gotta show love. We gotta show love to the specialty players, and sometimes the special teams players don't get a lot of love. But there was a guy that was one of the best kickers in the league for a good long while, and he goes by the name Greg the Leg Zerline.
Hmm.
Oh,
And
Greg the Leg.
I'm gonna throw this one in with him, although he got his nickname before he got in the league. Cameron Dicker, who goes by the nickname Dicker the Kicker.
Come on.
Dicker the kicker. Well,
I mean, that one might not have caught on quite yet because he hasn't really earned his stripes quite yet in the league, but still.
pretty
And
good.
then of course, you can't not throw the coaches in there.
Hmm. Hmm.
How about Mr. Bill Parcells, the Big Tuna?
The big tuna. Big tuna. The big tuna.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Got to.
And let's see, what other coaches had nicknames? Hold on, it was let's think about that for a minute. Because you say you brought up big tuna, but what other coaches? I mean, you had
Booch.
Mike Ditka was just duck coach, duck coach, right? Mike Ditka was just duck coach. That was our guy. But yeah, Mariucci was doing Mooch.
Mooch.
Well, wasn't he also Iron Mike?
Yeah.
Well, I guess technically, yeah, but that goes. I think of Mike Tyson when you say Iron Mike, so I kind of don't.
That's true.
I don't associate that with Ditka too much. You say Iron Mike, I'm going Tyson, but I get where you're going. I can dig it. I can dig it. But yeah,
You dig it.
funny. Yes, I can.
Yeah, I'm definitely digging these names. I want to run through maybe one more round of this. I don't want to run this too long. So Sean, I'm coming back your way. What you got for me? What you got for me on the
Well, I'll end this the way Nick started it, talking about the home team. I mean, there's a lot of nicknames that you can associate with Washington. Obviously, the Hogs. One of the best O lines. I'm a little biased. One of the best lines in NFL history.
It was
the Fun Bunch. who is, if you
Fun
don't
place.
know, in the early '80s were the ones that kind of did this, did that, and then everybody high fived and everything
Oh
in the
man, I
end.
used to love that.
Loved that. That was, I mean, before
You
my
mean when they
time,
were
I
like
was 13,
1,
three.
2, and then
Yeah,
they would jump up and high
and
five
then
each other?
everybody hit right. Loved it. Loved that. But in order to talk about those two names, there's a name that was bigger than any of them in Washington folklore, especially when you're talking about that era, and that's number 44, John Riggins, aka the Diesel. Whoop, fire up that Diesel. Whoop. That was
Yeah.
my guy. That there is nothing like if you were at RFK and they played the Diesel horn in the
Oh,
stadium
okay.
and you see Riggins just walking around, like it. I mean, it gives me chills thinking about it to this day. And it's more regional thing. It's more, it's not like the fridge where
Yeah.
everybody knows it. It's something that only people in Washington would know. But the Diesel, I mean, hey, he's a fullback. How many times does the
Yeah.
fullback
Yeah.
get a name that we remember? So yeah, that's it for me. The
True.
Diesel, fun bunch, Hogs, Washington all day, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Definitely
Yeah.
digging that. Definitely digging that. And
Yeah.
I, not necessarily being a Commanders fan, but being one of the prominent teams in the league when I was coming up. I mean, I was able to follow that as well. So yeah, you definitely pulled some good ones out there.